I never asked for the house. It came to me in the will of a relative I'd never met, some great uncle on my father's side, the kind of man who never came to holidays, who nobody really talked about. All I got in the lawyer's letter was a property deed, a set of old brass keys, and a name scratched at the bottom, the Hollow House. I laughed when I read it. Sounded like something out of a ghost story. But when I told my dad, he just frowned and muttered, "That place again," before changing the subject. That should have been my first warning. But curiosity's a dangerous thing. And greed, maybe. Even in its ruin, a Victorian house in the West Virginia hills could be worth something. I figured I'd drive down, take some photos, talk to a realtor, and be back in my apartment by the weekend. I didn't realize I'd be walking into a nightmare. Arrival the house at 2 miles outside the crumbling remains of Barton Hollow, a mining town long dead. The road wound past boarded storefronts, rusted equipment half buried in weeds, and a church with its steeple leaning like a snapped bone. The house loomed at the far edge of town, perched on a ridge overlooking the valley. A 3-story Victorian, its paint peeled to gray, its roof sagging under decades of storms. Windows stared down like blind eyes, black and empty. I parked on the cracked driveway and just sat there for a minute, staring. The place felt wrong, not in the way of old houses, but in the way of something watching. The silence pressed on me. No birds, no insects, just wind slipping through the valley like it was afraid to stay too long. I told myself I was being dramatic, grabbed the keys, and stepped out. The porch groaned under my weight. The brass key slid into the lock with a reluctant squeal, and the door swung open. The smell hit me first, damp wood, mold, something sour underneath. The air was stale, heavy, like it hadn't been breathed in decades inside. The foyer was vast, ceilings high, wallpaper faded and peeling. A staircase curved upward into shadows. The floorboards stretched out, creaking with every step, and I swear I felt the vibrations echo deeper than the house should have gone, like it was hollow. The first night I set up camp in the parlor with a sleeping bag and lantern. Didn't trust the wiring yet. The furniture was old but intact, a velvet sofa, armchairs, a grandfather clock that had long since died. The silence wasn't complete anymore. Once the sun dropped, the house began to breathe. That's the only way I can describe it. Faint groans through the beams, shifting like lungs expanding. A low hum in the walls, steady and deep. And whispers. At first I thought it was wind through the cracks. But wind doesn't form words. Leave. I froze, straining to hear. Leave now. My throat went dry. I told myself it was the house settling, my imagination, exhaustion from the long drive. But when I finally slept, my dreams were filled with voices. Hundreds of them. Whispers rising and falling like waves, all chanting the same thing. The Hollow House, the Hollow House. The locals the next morning I drove into the nearest gas station. The cashier, an old man with a beard like steel wool, looked up from his paper when I paid for coffee. "You're not from around here?" "No, just staying a couple days. Got family property in Barton Hollow." His eyes narrowed. "Which house?" I hesitated. "The old one on the ridge." His face went pale. "You mean the Hollow House?" I laughed nervously. "That's what the deed said." He leaned closer, voice low. "You don't want to stay there?" Nobody stays long. That place, it feeds. Feeds? I asked Dot. He just shook his head. Best you turn around now, before it takes notice. I tried pressing him, but he clammed up. Wouldn't even take my money for the coffee, just waved me out like he wanted me gone. On the drive back, I noticed something I hadn't before. Every house I passed had curtains drawn, every porch empty, and when I slowed at the stop sign, I saw faces peeking out through slits in the blinds, eyes following me, quickly vanishing when I looked. Nobody in Barton Hollow wanted anything to do with me, or the house. The walls. That night I explored more of the house. The second floor was worse than the first. Wallpaper shredded, a thick layer of dust on the floors. Bedrooms still held furniture, though the beds were bare. In one, I found a child's rocking horse, its paint chipped, its eyes hollow black pits. As I turned to leave, I froze. The rocking horse moved. Just once, a slow forward tilt, wood creaking. No wind, no draft, nothing. I backed out, heart hammering, and nearly stumbled over something else. A hole in the wall. Not a mouse hole. Bigger, a jagged opening, about the size of a fist, leading into darkness. I leaned close. Whispers. Dozens of voices. Hushed, urgent, all tumbling over each other like a crowd. I couldn't make out words, just the sound of them, layered and echoing. The wall felt cold against my skin. I shoved furniture in front of the hole and bolted downstairs. The cellar on the third night? I found the cellar door. It was hidden under a rug in the kitchen, padlocked shut. The brass key fit, though the lock groaned like it hadn't been touched in years. The stairs descended into pure dark. The air grew colder with each step, damp and mineral, carrying a smell like old earth and iron. At the bottom, my lantern revealed stone walls, packed dirt floor, shelves of rusted tools. And tunnels, narrow passages branching out from the cellar, dug straight into the ground, leading deeper under the ridge. The whispers were louder here, louder and clearer. Join us. Feed the house. Be hollow. I stumbled back, nearly dropping the lantern. The flame sputtered, shadows clawing at the walls, and then I saw them. Faces. Not carved, not drawn, pressed into the stone itself. Mouths open in silent screams, eyes wide. The walls bulged with them, dozens, maybe hundreds, half submerged in rock like the house had swallowed them. Whole. My lantern went out. The darkness was absolute. And in it, I heard the footsteps. The thing in the tunnels. I ran, slamming into walls, scraping skin, gasping in panic. The footsteps followed, slow, heavy, deliberate. Something moved in that blackness, bigger than a man, dragging itself through the dirt. Its breath rasped like air forced through broken glass. I don't remember how I got out. 1 second I was stumbling blind. The next I was bursting into the kitchen, slamming the cellar door shut, locking it with shaking hands. The whispers didn't stop. They rose, furious now, vibrating through the walls, shaking dust from the ceiling. You can't leave. Your hours. The last night I should have left. God knows I should have packed the car and burned rubber back to the highway. But some part of me, pride, fear, obsession, wanted answers. I stayed 1 more night. I didn't sleep. Sat in the parlor with my lantern, eyes on the staircase. The whispers never stopped. The house creaked, and moaned around me, a live, shifting dot at midnight. The grandfather clock I thought was broken began to tick. 1, 2, 3, and from the top of the stairs something descended. Not footsteps this time, not whispers, but a figure, tall, thin, its body jerking like a puppet, its face stretched smooth as burlap, empty where eyes and mouth should be. Its skin shimmered like the walls, like stone about to swallow. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It reached the bottom step, tilted its head, and in 100 voices layered as one, it whispered, "The Hollow House is hungry." The lantern exploded. Darkness swallowed me. Now I woke in my car at dawn, parked on the highway miles from Barton Hollow. I don't remember leaving, and don't remember starting the engine, don't remember driving, but when I checked my phone, I found recordings, dozens of them, hours long, all whispers, all saying my name. I burned the deed, threw the keys into the river, moved states away. But it doesn't matter. At night, when my apartment is quiet, the walls hum, and I can hear them, the voices whispering Be Hollow.